So I'm here this afternoon, just finished facilitating some negotiations with one of my clients in Southern California. This school district has been practicing these principles of interest-based negotiation for over 20 years. The recently retired superintendent exclaims that it changed the culture completely of the school district. And I have with me one of the negotiators. His name is John, and he's been practicing negotiations with these principles for what would you say, John, about
This is my 18th year
18th year on the negotiating team. So I like to do these short interviews with people who've been practicing the principles of interest-based negotiation for quite some time, and then I have the people that are new to it. So you're going to be showing up on the YouTube channel soon. What's your reaction to those 18 years of practicing this? Because it's been a learning curve for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, so when I started in 2008, I hadn't had IBB training yet, interest-based bargaining training. So I was sort of learning on the fly. And one thing that I feel has helped me grow in the process is learning how to manage my emotional connection to different issues that come up in the bargaining sessions. When you live something every day, you know what it's like, right? You know what it's like to be, in my case, a teacher in a classroom with students. And when you hear someone from management characterize as part of telling the story what their perspective is on the work that you do, sometimes it hits you personally. And I think the process helps remove that ownership from the things that are being said in the room, so that I used to get very upset when I hear characterizations of my work that I felt were inaccurate. And what I've learned now is that it's my responsibility to add to that story, to clarify a different perspective of that same story. So,
Well, it's interesting that you use the term characterization, because one of the principles of the approach is to distinguish characterization from description. And one of the principles of this approach asks people to be descriptive rather than characterizing or conclusionary, because you just described what happens when you hear things characterized. It hits you in a way that is causing you to want to react. But what you've been able to do is notice the difference between characterization and description. And then you can back away from that emotional reaction and maybe even say, well, help me understand what that looks like.
yes.
And it's not a debatable thing. It's a seeking to understand, because that's one of the principles as well. Seek first to understand, St. Thomas Aquinas, right? So you've learned that it's a listening skill. You're listening to specific words, distinguishing what kind of a word is that, not whether the person is right or wrong, but listening for what's going on. That's fascinating that you were able to characterize that, or describe it.
Well, the process has helped me grow, not only in being a better member on my bargaining team, but just being a better human in general.
So let's pursue both of those. When you say being a better member of your bargaining team, what did you mean by that? Give us an example of a better member of your bargaining team.
Well, I feel like the process helps you to be more effective in articulating the interests of your team in a way that is maybe more persuasive, or at least if we stick to the descriptions and not the characterizations, we end up making progress. Now, my wife is on a bargaining team in a very different district, and they're adversarial, they're in traditional bargaining. And, when we go home and compare notes, my district is continually doing better under IBB than hers is in terms of
Outcomes.
Salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you also said that it had an impact on you as a thinking human being.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
You can apply these same skills that you learn in IBB to your personal life, to decision making with your family, with your friends, and use the tenets of IBB to help you seek understanding and find solutions rather than argue with people. Yeah.
Wow. What's your reaction to what I said a moment ago about the recently retired superintendent of this school district, who he wrote me a letter after he retired and basically said, listen, the introduction of these principles to this school district made a dramatic difference in his mind over time, that it changed the culture of the district. Now, you were on a team that facilitated a 300-person issue, which I recall was math pathways, and it was prepared, unilaterally provided, and everybody reacted. The public reacted negatively, parents reacted negatively, the students reacted negatively, the teachers reacted negatively, the universities did, and the superintendent said, wait a minute, let's try a different model. And you were one of the facilitators, as I recall, in that process, were you not?
I think that actually happened right before I
you
was
joined.
added
Oh,
to the bargaining
okay.
team. But I would say that the superintendent, if that was his experience, he had been in the district much longer than me as a teacher, at different levels in HR and in the district office before he was the superintendent. So he definitely would have the perspective.
Yeah.
I came in right after they implemented IBB, so I've only known this as the paradigm that we've been working
I thought you were on the group. See, what we did, there was this issue regarding the implementation of something called math pathways. Well, there you are, I'm a facilitator. I don't know what the content means, but it didn't work. And so the superintendent had a light bulb go on, and he said, you know what, maybe we should try this interest-based negotiation on this issue. And so we pulled together the negotiators, management and union negotiators as a team. And we designed a process to take on the question of math pathways. And it made a big difference. It was the outcome was amazing. We had parents, as I said, parents, faculty from the universities, teachers in the school district, and so on. Interestingly enough, he and when he was the HR director, before he became superintendent, he and one of the directors in the HR office took a training from me at the County Office of Education. And they didn't just buy into this until they explored it. And after they sat in on one of my 5-day trainings, they said, we've got to get this to our district. And they did. And that was, if you been here 18 years, that means that was at least, I've been working in this district at least 20 years, at least.
I started on the team in 2008.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of that, that it made that difference. What have you noticed about your negotiating team as a team? I like to say that the principles, the process principles, the thinking principles are sort of the warp and woof of team concept. Like a carpet. A Persian carpet has this fundamental structure called the warp and the woof. And then the design happens when they tie all the woolen knots to the warp and the woof. What have you noticed about your own negotiating team?
So our team works well together, and occasionally, people come to the end of their career and they retire, and you lose someone who's had that training and experience. So it's very important, if you're going to embrace IBB, to continually reinvest in training the new people as they come onto the team, so that they can integrate into the processes that are going on. And I would say the same is true of the district personnel.
Yep.
And because our superintendent did embrace the principles, he pushed it out to his leadership, and you'd start to see it on your campus sites where the principals were using the strategies of IBB to facilitate decision making at the site level. And I know that that's a much more effective and powerful model than a top-down model. So, for any school district that allows their administrators to just go in and make the rules and enforce them, they're losing the opportunity to develop leadership style where they're seeking to understand, they're walking through the story, interests, and options to get to what do you call
elegant
it?
outcome. I like to say that if a leader, like a school principal or like a union leader, gives up power, meaning didactic or directional power, they become more powerful because the outcomes are elegant and they can take ownership of that because they have facilitated the use of the principles for that kind of success. And who gets attributed to that success? The leader. It's an ironic thing. And so I have a suspicion that you have found yourself being a leader of your own association as a result.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into when I was asked to join the bargaining team, but I'm certainly happy with the outcome. I like representing my members, my fellow teachers, counselors,
Your colleagues,
my colleagues,
professional colleagues.
I do have a heart for it, and so knowing that the process can be empowering to give you the skills to do a good job, because oftentimes even our own members are angry with us. They didn't think you did enough. So you can use those same skills that you're using to solve problems with district administration. You can use them with your own membership to, again, gather what is the story that that you're trying to tell me, and let's talk about what would be.
What are some options?
Yeah.
What's the what, the when, the who versus the why, and then the how. Yeah.
And in the end, we have been able to produce for many of our members solutions that they at least could live with, if not, we're happy about.
Awesome. Well, I like to keep these short enough that people don't get bored. And John, I thank you so much for being willing to sit for one of these little interviews.
My pleasure.
And I hope that people who've seen this this short interview with John are invigorated enough to follow some more and stay tuned to this YouTube channel. Goodbye now. Oops.